So, this is a story this morning. Britain's coastal towns face widespread disruption, I live here, after the UK's grid operator unveiled plans to triple offshore wind capacity as part of Mad Ed Miliband's Green Building Blitz. So we face the horror of more of those bloody white things that go round and round. And the reason I'm saying it's a horror is, unless I'm missing the point, just a week ago, Ed Miliband himself admitted that wind power is less reliable than he or his advisors expected. Maurice Cousins is campaign director for Net Zero Watch. Miliband's a nutter, isn't he?
Afraid he is, yes, and we're saddled with him until the next election.
I think we talked on another show, and you told me something that stayed in my head, which is they came in saying they were going to, decrease electricity bills. They want to achieve this net zero rubbish, and nobody knows why, because what happens when you get there? And whilst they're doing it, this whole wind farm thing, it doesn't blow enough to give us enough, so they end up importing electricity, which costs more than the stuff we've got here. And then even more shocking is when it blows too much, they aren't able to store it or turn the things off, because that costs even more than keeping it on. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's an inferior form of power production. It's just that simple. We're regressing. This is not progress. We're moving backwards. Yeah, most of these technologies, they have their origins in the pre-industrial period, and yet we're embracing them as a way to run a modern industrial economy. It is utter madness, utter madness. And the reason you need all this infrastructure, Jeremy, there are physical thermodynamic reasons as to why we need it, and the reason why is because these technologies are low density, so the amount of power that you can extract from any one given area is much lower than what you can generate with thermal-based systems like gas and coal. Now, I know that's a bit sort of technical, but it's important for viewers and listeners to understand, because that's why this is needed. You need all of this vast amounts of infrastructure, because you need many more turbines and panels and all of that sort of stuff in order to be able to get the useful amount of power that you need to run an economy. And what we're looking at is we're going to need probably twice the capacity of generation, twice the grid capacity, and this is the kicker, to produce the same amount of output that you would get from our current existing system. It is nuts. It is crazy. So it's more for less.
And this sort of dying on this altar again. This morning we've talked about what they want to do to the national curriculum, what they won't do to the BBC, what they won't do, this Labour Party, about sick note Britain. They follow this ideology. And of course the critics of you and me will say, well, look at Melissa in Jamaica and the world's about to end. Well, they told me that in 1976, and I'm not being irresponsible when I say that. I'm sure there are issues about the climate that are important, but I'm about priority. And I cannot understand a country that is literally not able to afford the interest on its debts when we've got oil and gas under the sea. And I don't mean to sound like Trump. If somebody said to me, there's an asset under the sea that will get rid of all of the debt, will make people's bills cheaper, I'd start drilling. I don't understand it. It's madness, man.
It is madness. I mean, you say it's ideological. I mean, I think it's worse than that. I think it is delusional, because... Yeah. Ideology suggests you're going to get to some place of utopia, but that's not where we're heading. And they can't claim that they haven't been warned here about what is going to happen. This is for a number of years now, leading experts have been explaining to people that if you build a weather-based power generation system, that will lead to higher costs, less security, industrialization of our landscape, all of these downsides. And yet they've been swept aside, and the only thing that we sort of seem to focus on is this one metric, which is that supposedly it's cleaner, ignoring the fact, of course, that a lot of this kit is manufactured and produced in China, where they are using coal to be able to manufacture this stuff. But Jeremy, there's one thing I want to be able to sort of just to point out here.
30 seconds, not being rude. 30 seconds, go.
No worries. Is that Desnes are talking about this as being an upgrade of the system. This is cynical framing. It is wrong. This is not an upgrade. It's a false premise. This is completely and utterly unavoidable. What we are doing here is we are moving to a more expensive, more disruptive, and more intrusive system. If anyone thinks that is an upgrade, they need their head examining.
Couldn't agree more. Great man, Maurice Cousins. Thank you very much. The campaign director, Net Zero Watch. We've had loads and loads of